Hey, everybody. Welcome to Voices of Recovery. Today's guest is Barbara Clark, and I'm your host, Gregory Greer. Today's guest, everybody, Barbara Clark. She's traveled all over the world. She's worked at Hazleton Recovery in Minnesota, and today she's with us here. Hey, Barbara.
Hi, Greg.
Stoked that you're here because today I want to be able to talk about who you are, how you got where you are. I mean, what's it like to be working in recovery? Because, I don't know, first of all, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for inviting me. It's really a privilege.
Thank you.
I'm
I feel honored
honored
to hear that. Oh, we said it in
At the same
stereo.
time,
Yeah, right.
it's like that. But I am honored that you would ask me to join you. So
Well, I
thank
think
you.
I think the world of you. You're an LPC.
Thank you.
You are an LPC, licensed practicing counselor.
It's kind of close.
Close
Licensed
enough.
professional counselor.
God, did I just say practicing? I am way
But
off
I am
today.
practicing, so that's okay.
Cool beans.
It's fine.
So here you are
Yeah.
in Monroe. You
Yeah.
have this amazing journey
Yes.
as a counselor. And are you in recovery?
I am in recovery. I have 35 years in
Good
October. I know. I don't look that old, do I?
No.
I got sober very young.
I thought you were 40.
That's true. I got sober
Sorry.
very young. Yeah, all said and done, it's a day at a time, and I have to continue. I choose to continue to speak about the fact that we have a day at a time. And I know that. I know that on my journey. I didn't come in easy. I was in and out for a while. And once I got it, though, I was very determined to keep it.
Well, 35 years, that demonstrates a very strong, consistent commitment, discipline. And you,
Thank you.
as a licensed professional counselor, practice at Lincoln Nova.
I do.
And I would like to give a shout out, if I could. Lincoln Nova is our sponsor. They're located in Ruston, Louisiana. They have a residential program. And also in Monroe, there is the intensive outpatient program in the Garden District. Shreveport is a location, and up and coming is going to be a location in Natchitoches, Louisiana.
That's right.
And you've been with Lincoln Nova for...
I'm in my 6th year.
Wow.
I know.
And
I
your
know.
tenure.
I know. I love it. I love Lincoln Nova. It's fabulous.
Well, good. You'll get to tell all about the stories that you've had there. And because as counselors, and the reason this program is in place is really to connect us with all treatment programs, because we're not here to compete with
No.
other programs.
No.
We're here to help. So
That's right.
who can I ask for help as a professional? Because as my professional family with American Group Psychotherapy Association, I learned how to communicate with other counselors to get my needs, and then who can I help? So
Yes.
up and coming counselors, new counselors
Absolutely.
and trainers, and
Yes.
so let's talk about you.
Okay.
And
All right.
how we got where we are. You're with Lincoln Nova. You've been there for 6 years. You, I knew that you worked at Hazleton at some particular
did.
time. Is that where your career began?
Well, it wasn't my. How far back do you want me to go?
Well, I don't know.
I can go back a little bit. I can talk about the times that I was fired from jobs because I couldn't maintain. I had to start drinking because I was craving and preoccupied.
Cool. So you were wait. You were drinking on jobs as a substance use disorder counselor?
No, before I got to the career that I'm in, I had other career attempts. And one of them was accounting, and before that I was doing some advertising. That worked out better. I liked it. I was a media buyer for a while for Penny Dowdy with Ad Group here in Monroe. She's, rest in peace, she's passed.
Oh, okay.
Ashley
I didn't know.
Dowdy. It was her daughter.
Wow,
Her daughter.
wow.
Yeah. And I've just had a lot of fun in my working career. Before that, I'd been in New York for a little while, worked for Video Magazine for the ad director, who was my age. She was 27. I was 27. She was the ad director for the whole magazine, Video Magazine, and she wanted to train me, and I was too busy drinking to do that. She wanted me to make some sales calls, and I was
The nerve.
I'm busy.
I know,
No,
right?
I can't possibly. So I didn't, and I ended up coming back home from New York back to Monroe. I grew up basically in Monroe, moved around a lot, but my mom said to my dad, I don't want the kids to go to high school in a foreign country. So that tells you something. Mm-hmm. And so the job that my dad took, it came down to two options. One was going to be in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and the other one was going to be Monroe, Louisiana. And whichever call came in first was the way they were going to settle it.
Wow.
And it was Monroe, Louisiana. So I came here and was in 8th grade at Jack Hayes for a while, and then started at Neville, graduated from Neville in 1975. We have our 50-year reunion coming up. That's crazy. So anyway, I was already well on my way with a drinking career. I did not find pot till I got to college, where I found theater and pot simultaneously and had a lot of fun. I did not study. I did not think I was smart. I didn't think to do anything, really, because you know how pot will take your motivation away. I was fine just season after season, hanging out with my friends, and then all my friends went away. They got jobs and moved away, and I was a little perplexed at what's going on. Oh my gosh, they all graduated and left. So I came back to Monroe, where my mom was, and finished with a general studies degree. And I say all that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I say that to set up the fact that I was not a brainiac. I did not think I was very bright. My grades sure showed I wasn't. But chemicals were involved, and I wasn't astute enough to tease that apart. So I had very low self-esteem. I didn't think highly of myself, and I didn't think I was very bright.
So how did you get motivated to go to get a master's degree in counseling?
Right.
Well,
so that's part of the story to me, is that's where it begins, because I drank. I only dated guys that drank. We went to Jazz Fest once, a group of us, and I had a fella that I took. And as Jazz Fest was finishing, we all met at the flag stand where everybody meets, And we're walking out, and he looks over at me. He says, you can drink a lot of beer.
And you're probably like, and
you don't drink enough.
Yeah.
He was counting. And so, that might have been a moment if I had the wherewithal. I wasn't interested. But if I had thought, wow, maybe I should look at my drinking. But you know what I really thought?
The nerve of him counting my beers.
I'm never going out with him again.
That's right. That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking. And I didn't, of course. So I went along like that. And that's the way I lived my life, because all the other stuff I wasn't very good at and didn't really care why. I just wasn't. I just kind of bopped along. And so the next big thing that happened, I think, in my progression would be that the dating of alcoholics, the alcoholics got worse. And so I got worse. And it got worse, and I finally bottomed out. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia, when I got sober.
Did you go through treatment, or are you one of the true warriors that went through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous?
White knuckling it.
Oh, you white knuckled it.
Well, yeah, I think so. But so I didn't really know what treatment was. Although the guy that I was living with at the time, I took him with me to Atlanta from here. And he knew how to drink all night. I didn't know that.
Was he on cocaine or something?
I don't know.
I just say that because that's my history.
That makes
I always
sense to
wanted to
you?
do what they did. No, that's the only way I was going to happen.
Well, he came home sometimes with some little foil packets, and I was so naive. I had no idea anything about what he was. I just kind of lived in my own world that was kind of closed down and shut off. And anyway, he went to treatment in West Monroe. There was a treatment center. You know what it is now.
Doug Cook, Dr. Cook had that out there in West Monroe.
It was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, that was on Highway 80.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before Palmetto. Was he out there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he went out there, and I figured the way I was in blackout mode. I have blackouts. I am a blackout drunk, and that's dangerous. And that is a big piece of my story. It's a big piece of what keeps me sober. So I decided I had to get rid of this guy because I was having blackouts. And he was clearly, something was wrong with him. He was drinking all night. He didn't know how to go get a job. He didn't understand anything. So I got rid of him, and I kept having blackouts. And I was like, now what? I mean, what now? I had to finally admit and start to look at my drinking. And so that shows me, and I try to teach others, that our denial system can last for a long time, and it's very strong. And so I ended up in Al-Anon. I didn't go to AA. I went to Al-Anon.
Oh, wow. Went through the back door.
I did.
Okay.
I'm a double winner.
Yes, indeed.
I went to Al-Anon for a year, still questioning whether I was an alcoholic, still having blackouts, still unable to keep a job. And I'm still thinking, I don't think I'm really an alcoholic. I don't think that's what's going on. There was no other realistic answer to that.
So what gave you the insight?
Blackouts, I think.
Well, okay, so just a short version. So it's like finally something happened and clicked and said, me, I had a gun in my mouth. So I'm wondering one day, well, I'm just trying to say, what was it? So Dr. Tommy Estes, who I understand you worked with at one time, his dissertation, there's a line in it that says the crisis necessary for change. So there's an event, an instance, there's an emotional connection that says, you know what? This is what clicks and said, okay, and then I have the trajectory.
Well, it's a sad story. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I lost another job, accounting. If I went further back, I would tell you that my mom died of lung cancer. And that's why I hate nicotine at Lincoln Nova. I'm the one walking around, hate nicotine. Mm-hmm. And I quit nicotine first before I quit anything because it would make sense. Anyway, my mom died from lung cancer. And so I'm dealing with, not only I'm not very employable, I'm a blackout drunk. And so I go to Atlanta, geographic relocation. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't everybody do that? So I went to Atlanta. I couldn't keep a job. I got fired. I had about $100. I used that $100 to go buy a puppy and a TV.
Well, that's important.
Good thinking there. Uh-huh. I'm going to have time on my hands. I'm going to get unemployment. I'm going to raise a puppy. And puppy was actually my first connection to a higher power. So anyway, I had a black lab, I had a brown lab. Next, I got a yellow lab. But I had a brown lab, and the brown lab got killed on the road.
Oh, God.
I know. And I'd been trying to white knuckle it. And I found it's even better. Greg, it was raining in Georgia, and the dog got hit on a rainy road. It's not funny at all. I find the dog. I am so isolated. I don't know anybody. I'm living in a little house that I managed to buy. I have a best friend that I moved with, and she and her husband or partner were down the way, but 30 minutes or so. So I call my brother in Dallas because I have a dead dog. And in the meantime, after I found the dead dog, I went and got a fifth of vodka because I'd been white knuckling it, and I was too miserable. I was in too much pain. My brother at that time was throwing a little dinner party. So here I am, a mess. Killed my dog died. I'm drunk on vodka. It's raining in Georgia, and my brother is in Dallas going, do you know any of your neighbors? He's trying to help, and they're having a dinner party. So I hang up. I get off the phone. That is the moment I decide that what I needed to do was suicide. It was clear. This wasn't working. And then I thought, I can't do that to my brothers. I'm the oldest, and we've lost Dad, we've lost Mom. I can't do that. It's not an option. So it started there. That is the bottom for me. And when I say we're locked up, covered up, or sobered up, mm-hmm. my story from the outside can look like I didn't go very far down, but I went all the way down.
See, that has a lot of value, what you just shared, because as professionals, when we're working in our environment, all of what you just shared mm-hmm. is within us. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting to note, as your professional career develops, how aware are you of the emotions that you're carrying with you? which we call our baggage. Because even though we incur credentials or education of some kind, we're still that side of us inside.
Yeah.
And so your journey going forward, as you mentioned NLU, counseling, and forward, I'm wondering what your awareness was of your sober journey.
I couldn't get in a social work school. Absolutely could not.
You could not?
Could not.
What do you mean you could not? Like
I
you didn't
could
want to,
not.
or they were like telling you you
they
couldn't?
wouldn't accept me in Georgia. I had horrible GPA. Remember, I thought I was not very bright, so my grades did reflect that. And so I had horrible GPA. I couldn't get in. And Bob Brantley, do you remember Bob? Did you meet Bob?
I don't recall.
And he was part of the NLU at that time, Substance Abuse Master's Program.
Tony Young wasn't out there at that time?
He was.
Okay,
He was the other professor. So Brantley and Young were the two main professors, and Sally Thigpen, who's a psychologist.
Okay.
And then some others. But they had a little tiny program in there, and they had a cohort of about 7 to 10 every semester. It's no longer there. But I met with Bob Brantley, who himself understands us very well. And he said, write a good paper and do a good job on the GRE, standardized test.
Right.
And I do well with standardized tests. For some reason, I don't do well in a classroom very well. So anyway, he let me in. And he said to me at the time, he said, you probably won't work around here. I don't know why he said that. But anyway, that's when I did it. So I got my master's, 60-hour master's too. We added some time. I did an internship up north because Scott Kokenauer, and I don't have touch with him anymore. I'm not in touch with Scott. But he was from Miami area, and he kept saying to me during the summer one class, where are you going to do your internship? We had a big internship coming. I don't know. I'd probably go down the road. I'm not very ambitious. I don't know. And he said, you go to the very best one you can go to. And I got tired of him pushing me, so I said, okay. I would go to Hazelden because I'd already read Codependent No More. I was a bibliophile. I loved to read. That's how I escaped. And I knew about Hazelden Publishing. So he said, do you mind if I check it out? I said, no, of course not. Why would I mind? So he went first and I followed, and I went up there in December of 94. I'd never really lived in snow. And it was December in Minnesota. And it was fabulous. It was wonderful.
You were well christened.
Yeah, I loved it. It's a wonderful, magical place.
That's incredible. So
then I came back.
Then you came back, but you got to go a place that were some of the founding developmental programs for substance use disorders was created.
Yeah.
Many facilities took their model and reproduced it. Oh yeah, they
Minnesota model. You've heard of.
Absolutely. So having so many, and I mean,
it was
from
great.
Louisiana of all places, because most colleges or universities rather, you do something locally. So to go up north, I mean, they
were thrilled.
That's impressive.
Thank you, Scott Kokenauer.
Thank you, Scott.
And I got up there, and I also there was another part of that. My family, my mom's side of the family was from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and had been a dairy farmer. My grandfather, her daddy, my grandfather was an agroeconomics professor at University of Illinois in Urbana, Champaign-Urbana, but he had grown up on a dairy farm in Minnesota. So I had always been a little bit curious about all that. And when I got up there, I went in a restaurant. I hadn't been there very long. And I looked around, and the women looked like my mom. Because I grew up with a mom down in the South who was from the Midwest.
Well, environmentally and culturally, that's all part of, right?
Yeah. So I looked around and went, oh, her people are here.
So
it's wild.
So I kind of want to interject some academic part of this, and I'm thinking about. So what did you learn? I'm thinking that as a counselor. So what did you learn interning at Hazelden with its history? I mean, did anything stick out to you as a new upcoming clinician?
Group for one, the system that they have designed there, like they have a whole mental health department. And so the clients would go to that space to see a psychologist. And we had a spiritual care person assigned to the unit. So I was on a unit. I was on a men's unit, Cronin. And I learned so much about the cohesiveness of a team and the professionalism that people bring and the sense of humor. Just the whole, how does a team work? How does the interdisciplinary team work? And it was so educational. I was so lucky. When I look back, the nice thing for me was that kind of shadow position that an intern has, because I would hang out with the clients, and to them I was the girl from Louisiana. I hung out with the professionals, and I was that girl getting her master's in Louisiana. So the clients would talk very openly, and I learned something. I have 2 or 3 memories that they still guide me. There was a New York Stock Exchange client. That's where he worked, and the guys take walks in the woods because it's in woods, and so they'd invite me, and so I would go, and we were coming back, and this guy's name was Mike. I remember this so clearly, and he was leaving the next day, and he's like, "Yeah, now I have to decide if I'm going to quit drinking." Taught me everything in that one comment. Now I have to decide. And how true is that? I mean, it's totally true.
I don't know. It's like, so I'm interested with.
Well, for him it was, that.
Yeah. What was his motivation to go? Was I in trouble? My motivation was because it was illegal. My family said I had to come here.
Yeah.
What's the motivation to be in treatment in 1994 to say that?
Now I have to decide. Now, so it taught me a couple things. One thing, inpatient is safe, and people do get to explore. Inpatient is a gift. I tell people all the time, you're not going to have times, hopefully, where you spend a month on yourself. This is a gift. And so that was very telling, because I assumed everybody came totally motivated and they were going to get sober, and that's why they were there. And that comment taught me that there's a lot of different ways to look at it. The other thing was the model that the Hazelden model at the time, or Minnesota model, had moved away from any kind of, what is it when you challenge somebody and then you share the next day? What is that called?
When you challenge with somebody and
then they have to sit with it a day, and then the next day they can
well, I don't know. Palmetto,
concerns and
they do fear, cares, and concerns.
Something like that.
That's what they do. They want you to challenge them. The term they would use is confront, which the old 80s model, that's a shame-based model. Confrontation, accusatory, etc. Versus let me challenge you with what I see versus with what I've experienced equally. So you let it sit with the day, and then sleep on it. The next day you might have some insight as to how come I do what I do. Right.
And what did you notice? Because I didn't notice that. So the way groups were managed there were, you would have counselors, but you would also have situations where the group led themselves. They have a senior peer and that kind of thing. But being in a circle taught me a lot about being in a circle as opposed to a horseshoe. When I first got to Palmetto, it was a horseshoe, and all the staff sat in the front, and there was a horseshoe in community every morning, and I moved all the chairs into a circle, and Doug Cook came in and said, "Who did that?" I did. He said, "Let's go ahead and move those back."
No, so no control issues, right?
We're not doing that.
No, you.
Oh, no, I moved them right back. But I was like, why wouldn't, this is obviously the better way to do it. But so we do. So those lessons, from both places, really influence how I counsel today. So when I was a new counselor, I was a little shy to push the edge. As an old counselor, I'm able to do it in a more loving way. And I do tell my clients now I love them and I care about them. As a new counselor, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have crossed that line. So that's kind of an interesting thing that I've noticed about my own style. So did that answer what you were thinking?
It gave me some insight into you. Actually, I forgot my question, quite frankly. Well, because I'm so interested with my experiences. So at Hazleton, as an upcoming counselor, I'm learning. It's like what's intimidating as a human. I mean, I'm going in there. I'm not a counselor. I'm learning, and so and I'm a recovered alcoholic at that time, I guess. Or were you still drinking?
Oh, no.
So I drank through graduate school. So I mean,
Did you?
Oh, yes.
No,
I
I had a year. I got sober in Atlanta, picked it up, relapse. Finally, quit playing games. Played all kinds of games. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to ask for help. I'm not going to get a sponsor. I got a sponsor with 11 sponsees. She had no time for me. I thought that was perfect. And she said, if you do call me, you only have 15 minutes. Even better. I'm not going to be calling. So that's fine. That's fine with me. And of course, I, slipped again and again because I would not get serious about it until I felt like, okay, you cannot play with this anymore. You're either going to do it or you're not, I guess, is what I did. I went to therapists. I had a couple. Mm-hmm. I had a drunk boyfriend, and she said the craziest thing to me. She said, well, why don't you let him do his thing for a year? You get sober for a year, and then you can get back together. And I was like, a year? I was so codependent. A year? I said, oh, no, I can't do that. So anyway, I finally got sober. I was sober a year. I worked at the library, Walmart, and McDonald's. Lost the house.
Wow.
I worked at those three, kind of got my act together, and got into that master's program because no place in Georgia would take me into social work. So that's how I ended up. And I wanted that anyway. Uh-huh. And so when I found that program, because I love college, what is it? The one that has all the different degrees listed. I loved those all the time. I would look at them.
Well, because earlier you said that you escaped by reading. So, academia, that was a place to go. So some of us go to Fantasyland, with our imagination. Others of us might go into learning. Mm-hmm. And I say that from I use the word statistical, but it's something that's rigid with here's facts, and I download all this information, and while everybody else are having relationships and all that other interpersonal interactions that I'm supposedly studying, the fact that I'm learning these theories and this gives me a sense of self, or gives me a sense, I don't know. I'm saying this to myself, wondering what comes up for you. So if I'm learning all this information and I do well on standardized exams, what does that do for me? Does that feed my self-esteem? Does that feed my self-worth?
Well, I think for the standardized exams, because we moved on average every 2 to 3 years, there was a lot of that just to get placed in a classroom or in a new school. So that was more of a steady. But I think when my mom was dying, I was her main caregiver. I moved back from Manhattan. I was working for Video Magazine. My mom, at 60 years old, found a lump actually on the side of her neck, and it ended up being cancer. I moved back. 6 weeks, I moved back. I came home, and it was a 3-year journey. And to balance how crazy I was not sober. I did not get sober till after she died, which is sad to me. I wish I had been there sober. But anyway, I took accounting classes so that my mind would do just what you were talking about, because I had to find a shred of, I'm a survivor kid. Mm-hmm. And I had to find a way to not fly off with my emotions because my mom was dying.
How old were you when she passed away?
29. So from 26 to 29.
So you were a survivor. What about your dad?
I was 16, 17.
So 16 or 17 when my dad passed.
And that was a sudden heart attack. Playing tennis on the tennis court during the break in between the two sets, my dad started getting ready to go home, which is very odd. My brother and I were on another court playing around, having fun. And I said to my dad, kind of like, what are you doing? He said, I'm not feeling real good. I'm going to go home, which is very unusual. And he said, I love you. So the last thing my dad ever said to me was, I love you. And of course, I was an adolescent, so we'd been spatting. So that was just a gift, total gift.
It is.
By the time my brother and I got home, the ambulance was pulling out. Never saw him again. Yeah, funeral, but yeah.
That's just so sudden.
Yeah. And so two younger brothers, me and my mom. So, it's been that kind of family.
You're the oldest?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the oldest. Got to make good grades, but I didn't. But I'm able to test well. So, so my parents...
My mom said, "Do you think maybe you could bring home a C?"
Oh my
Bless
God!
her heart.
Oh my Lord, honey, could you just bring us? Could you just help us out here a little bit?
Try bring home a C. Grades were not a focus in my family. It's an alcoholic family, I think. That's a personal opinion, but there were things going on in the family. So we did not study. We did not worry about grades. We just bumped along.
Well, it's interesting that you like to read, though. You
escape
by reading.
To escape.
But what are you reading? Because I mentioned I thought it was academia. Are you reading
not
fantasy?
Till later. When I was a kid, I was reading anything like novels, Nancy Drew. I started reading very young. We lived in Bombay, India for 3 years, almost 4. There's not really American TV there. And their libraries. I grew up reading books. So you'd find me somewhere with a book. And that's an escape.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All this traveling. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It sounds adventurous.
It was.
And then 2, I'm an Air Force brat.
Okay.
So, yeah, but part of it's adventurous, but in my adulthood, looking back, I can see how that didn't serve me growing up because I couldn't sit still anywhere. And by sit still, I mean live somewhere. So in LA, I lived there 10 years. I'm telling you, I moved. And within, sometimes it would be a few months. Sometimes it might. When I lived somewhere longer than a year, it was like, man, put a stamp on it because I lived somewhere for a year.
Right.
It was constantly like that. Yeah. And same went with relationships. Yeah. Continuous. So I don't know if that played the same for you.
Well, I was teased a lot that people used pencil in their address books with me. I had the same core group from college, that group that was smoking pot, that did not think I was alcoholic. They'll still tease me. I don't think you really are one, because we smoked pot together. I drank with other people and I smoked with these people, and that concept just didn't make any sense to these people. So of course they were busy doing other things, and that's the way it was. But I'm still friends with those people. That's my core group.
Going back to the question of moving around a lot,
right.
How did that sit with you as an adult? Because so you have a master's degree in human development.
Well, in substance abuse counseling.
Oh, okay. So the internal drive that we have, it's a physiological component.
Okay.
That it's a homeostasis part that my body has, and so, like I mentioned, I couldn't sit still because I was developed through my life to always be on the move.
Yeah.
Therefore, consequently, that's a Tommy Estes thing. Therefore, consequently, and then I had to go do something because that's what my body was trained to do.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you were aware that as through our adulthood, did you identify those patterns?
I think if I look back now, I could see that, but in my world, that would probably have played out is that I had no expectations of much.
Okay.
Because I wasn't going to probably be there long.
There you go.
And like I said, that core group, no matter where I go, I still talk to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those people still. And now we're all to retirement age. One's in Florida, he's a retired vet. One's in Houston. We've lost 2. And so we had this core group at Tech. That's where we met Kix Brooks. He was in the theater. He was in music. So all these people did theater. Well, I just hung out and smoked pot. They did theater and got career and educations. Yeah. They went off and were like an engineer, and one was an accountant, and I was stoned.
All those responsible souls.
Yeah. And I didn't care because I didn't really have any roots or longevity in me, so to speak.
Well, you're quite the pothead too.
I really was.
See, that's something I didn't know about you. You talk about the alcoholic, but I know you're such a pothead. That's awesome. Cheech and Chong rules.
Yeah.
Here, I'm not advocating for that.
No. I don't know where that great bong of mine was. Those orange kind of bongs. But I got a career at Hazelden. I came back. I worked at Palmetto for a year. It was awesome, but I loved it up there. The campus it's just incredible, and I don't have time to tell you everything. It's just so cool. And, there's a lodge, there's this, there's that. It's great. And so I got a job as a case manager, and I went back up. And I lived in several places up there, too. And I was going to tell you something important about, I know what it was. So Hazelden Publishing.
Yeah.
Is down the road a little bit. There's even a road that you can drive from one campus to the other campus. And on the other campus is the Hazelden Publishing building.
Okay.
And they put out, so everybody kind of knows everybody over time. I was Barb, by the way.
Barb. Hey, Barb.
That's it.
Barb. Yeah. Hey, Barb.
I'd say, hi, Barbara. And they'd say, well, hi, Barb. Nice to meet you. And I'd say,
oh, that's that Midwestern.
oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you betcha.
You betcha.
So
you got it.
There was a note that went out. They were looking for actors for video, and the topic was going to be marijuana. And so I submitted that my actual drug of choice is not alcohol, it's marijuana. And I got to be in it. So I was in this VHS. I'm in a little video. And sometimes people would say, I saw you. But I doubt that anymore. But anyway, it was really fun to do. But I had to get in touch with, if I allow my sneaky alcoholic addict brain to protect marijuana because it's seen as so benign, I'm in trouble. It's not benign. It kills motivation.
Yeah.
It's not good for the lungs, But there you go. Just a little side story there.
No, I dig it.
I loved my career up there. I got to work on, I did case management for 5 years, and then I went into the unit side. I got onto a unit, and I worked in 2 or 3 of the different units. And then I was so thrilled I was able to land a unit of my own. I was a supervisor of a women's unit, and that was a blast. And the whole thing was a blast. I lost my job to a HIPAA violation.
Wow. Now, look, I just noticed the time. We have like 10 minutes left. I want to know about the HIPAA violation.
It was so embarrassing. And I saw somebody speak at a conference once about losing their job to something like that. And all the people that were kind of like, and he's talking about it. Well, it happened to me. I had 2 HIPAA violations at once. And I was a supervisor of a women's unit. And the story is not important, really.
No, it's not. It's just like, what did I learn about my...
Oh, it was horrible. So when we get to a point, I think when I get to a point where what I'm recognized for is the work I do, and then I'm cut out at the knees. In December, I lost my job. All the supervisors, we were friends. There were 7 women in this group, and they're like, oh, they're not going to let you go. Come on, you've been here forever. They let me go.
Oh, yeah.
They let me go.
But see, that's something you get to share with counselors in training.
Yeah.
So at Lincoln Nova, your history of your experiences.
I do talk
to
about
express the seriousness of it, because those ethical boundaries are
real,
imperative.
They are. And the thing that I will say about it that I talk about, both of them were student errors. So for years, check your release. Never talk to anybody till you've looked at the release. Mm-hmm. I was moving too fast. And I thought I did. I didn't. So I talked to a girl's mom. She was actually from Louisiana. And I only had a release for the aunt. And I had spoken to the aunt. I was also carried a small caseload as a supervisor, which really just adds more pressure. So, but, that's the model. Not arguing. So she nailed me. And then I there were 2 factions on my unit. You have your country club girls, and then you got your farm girls, and they were fighting. And a box full of nothing but videotapes. Remember those? And
yeah.
And bags of candy came in. There was nothing really in it. But I let one girl open it whose name was not on the box. And the woman whose name was on the box turned me in and had a fit and took my job.
Wow.
It was a mistake.
However, while it's a mistake, I think it's important to note that, so that, and I say that because I believe that you are a mentor for many at
I
Lincoln
wanna
Nova.
be.
No, at Lincoln Nova, I
Oh.
believe you are a mentor for many, especially with the counselors and trainings that come in. To be able to sit in group, what's important when it comes to ethical boundaries, HIPAA violations, etc. You've
Ethics are
already
cool.
experienced the pain of the mistake. Look, sometimes if we haven't experienced the mistake, now this is just me, it doesn't really stick.
Yeah.
And so therefore I'm not going to, maybe I may or may not, what has weight, what has value for me able to really push that agenda with a new professional that's
I think
coming
it's
on.
so important. And so, of course, for me, HIPAA violations, just, they're very important. And, yeah. So, I could go on about a few more insights, but I think it's so important that we understand the ethics. So can I talk about the countertransference a little bit?
Oh yeah, let's. We got a few minutes. I want to go. I'd like, because countertransference is trying to tell counselors out there what that is. So I would like to hear your.
So transference is a client can see me as somebody in their lives, and I had a girl that saw me as actually a nun, and the way she would sit on the couch and looked like she was in prayer position when she would talk to me was my first inkling that she saw me as somebody. And I asked her about it. She goes, yeah, you do. You remind me of nun so-and-so. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that's going on currently is that I do have a client now, and his story is similar to my family story. And my brother, when my dad died, my youngest brother was 11, and this client has an 11-year-old son. And it has stirred up that pain of when a dad dies from their alcoholism or addiction and leaves children. It's very painful. And so I have told him the story of my situation, which I don't always tell. There's no need. But sometimes when we share our personal experiences, it's ethical. There is a reason to share it.
It's a disclosure and a part to relate understanding, and that's for the group actually. And the family may or may not be able to identify.
Well, for him, I took time after group to share a little bit with him. And then I actually said, this is why I'm saying certain things. And I gave him a couple of assignments that I'd used in the past years ago, and he's done really well. He really has. But for a while there, I had to get in touch with what's going on. And I knew almost immediately what it was. And so I thought that transference and countertransference are so interesting to me.
Especially the countertransference that creates barriers to helping. This sounds like this countertransference was an area that allowed you to help.
I had the opposite. I did continuing care group up north. I did it for like 11 years, and I went every Wednesday night and did a continuing care group. And I had a previous relationship where it didn't end real nice. Sometimes they don't. And this guy came in, not him. This guy came in and sat next to me whose physicality was so close that I started to feel it internally. And I was like, and this, I hadn't been abused or anything, but still my breath got short. I could feel all of the physical signs of this person, and it was not him. And so that.
Oh no, and that speaks to, and then what do I do about it? What do I do about it? So I've worked with courses where in the moment I recognize my emotions, self-regulate in order to facilitate the group process. However, afterwards I usually speak to a colleague to identify what I'm experiencing.
Go to a supervisor. I have always used my supervisor and that's why Susan is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy working with her so much. And the supervisor I had before her for years at Hazelden was a woman also named Brenda, and I've always done that, and it's for me. It's always been a safe environment to go and talk about what just happened. Now that for me, luckily, was all it took, and I never sat next to that person. I sat away from that person, so none of the energy, because I believe in that too.
I agree.
Got mixed, but I'd understood the concept, but I had never had it happen, and when it happened, it really was strong. Very valuable.
Well, two things I want to bring up before we have to close.
Yeah.
And one is ethically, and when there is countertransference, and it's overwhelming, I do need to go to my supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
And for those out there studying, it is your supervisor. I worked at Palmetto for a number of years, and you had brought up Palmetto too. At the time that I worked, many of the clinicians that I became close with, we had relationships strong enough, both ethically on the professional level, but also interpersonally, that I could communicate with. Sean Bryan was on the program a few weeks ago, and he was one, along with Jeff Knowles and Frank Smith, because Holly Rogers is my supervisor, and I would go to, but these other individuals were somebody that were close enough that I could. But ethically, the protocol is to go to your supervisor. Now, I'm just saying that in case someone who's a counselor in training would look for.
And I'm also found over the decades being in the field, I still love the field, and I'm okay going home, and I have a separate world there, and they don't mix. They really don't mix too much. I'm friends with people at work, and I love them, and I love to socialize with them, but I also have an outside world, and that took some time to develop too. So that's important too.
That's another part.
Because we'll burn out.
Yes, indeed.
I don't want to burn out.
No.
I really don't.
Well, Barbara, or as they say in the Midwest, Barb. I've gotten to know more about you today, and in the time that I've known you over the few years, this has been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful that you were able to come over today.
Thank you, Greg. I've enjoyed it. I told you I was a ham. I don't mind talking about myself.
There was nothing ham about this. This was authentic. This was great.
It was authentic.
And to know how much of a pothead you were, man, that's beautiful. Thank you, Cheech.
Cheech.
Yeah.
I gave you the honest
and look, it's endearing for me.
Yeah,
it's endearing for me.
Me too.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
For those, everybody, the amazingly past pot smoking Barbara Clark, Barb. I want to thank you guys for paying attention with us today. I want to look at next week. We're going to have Ryan with Pecan Haven that will be with us. And for those that have enjoyed, learned, and gained some from this episode, I say thank you. And for that, and more so, I say namaste. Our guest today is Barbara Clark. And I'm your guest, Gregory Greer.
You're the host. Host with the most.
Did I say guest or
yes,
host?
You did.
See, I'm
already... Little Freudian slip.
Dude, I'm already...
I'm in charge, Adam.
I know.
How quick was that?
I know.